And the first things that the viewers here are standing by. All right, my friends, we are back, and as I just discussed with my castmates here, we will finish the combat that we're in, and then we're gonna swap, switch, swatch, swash, swish, swoosh, over to Rodance's character for her part of the summer of 487. So as it stands right now, we need to make a quick determination as to what Sir Everhart needs to do in order to keep the Saxon from running away. And I
Well,
think he
first off,
wanted to say something or
yeah, I want to
suggest something.
clarify something. You
Yeah.
said a ranged attack against a fleeing enemy would be unopposed, right?
In this case, yes.
Okay, I'm throwing my axe at him.
Okay. Let me look in the book and see if there's anything in particular about throwing weapons that are not necessarily weapons intended to be thrown. Now I know an axe.
We've already agreed this is a weapon that can be thrown.
Have we? I
Yes,
said
because
no. I'm not
I've thrown it
arguing.
on
I'm not
multiple
arguing.
occasions.
I'm not arguing. I'm trying to remember what was said, and that's the confusion on my part. I just want to double check the rules to see if they have anything, because I think what I'm going to do is if you throw an axe, which is generally considered to be a throwable item. Lost weapons, battling creatures, defense, evasion, and then mounted combat. How about two-handed weapons, injury and health, wounds, states, charge or aggravation, other damage, diseases, skirmish rules. Okay, so let me go back up a little bit. I think actually what I'll just do is, because of the, we'll say, impromptu particular aspect of this, how, in a sense, what I'm thinking is you were fighting hand to hand, melee, with your axe, and now he's trying to break, and now you're like, oh shit. And instead of chasing him, you decide to throw your axe. I think what I will do is you will make your normal axe attack unopposed because he's not actively trying to defend. Actually, it would be evasion, but I don't even think there's a skill listed for him. Anyway, axe attack skill without your passion, because it's a rather suddenly, like, let me throw my axe at him real fast. Does that make sense?
Not really, but okay.
You know what? Go ahead. Throw your axe with your passion. I'm going to look and see if this guy's got any sort of evasion skill listed, and that will be his only defense. So give me just a second here.
Go ahead and roll. Or...
One moment. One moment.
Also, my other axe we described as a war axe. So is that a one-handed or a two-handed? I think we agreed that was a two-handed on the other axe. I think.
Are you talking about the one that you were gifted from? I
The
believe.
master crafted, yeah.
Yeah. I don't recall if we actually clarified it being one or
We just said
two-handed.
master crafted war axe, and so I'm not entirely sure. Like, is that a one-handed or a two-hander?
Did we? Well, the other thing I'm trying to remember, did we determine if it was more for show or if it was actually something practical?
I gave him one for show and one for practicality.
Yeah, I have a master crafted war axe with +2 damage, so I don't think +2 damage is.
No, no, you're absolutely right. So you do have that unique axe.
And see, I thought that one was two-handed. I thought it was two-handed, but I wasn't sure. We talked about two-handed, and I wasn't sure if that was a thing. So, like, that was not the axe that I was using up until this point, because I wanted the ability, one, to use the shield,
Right.
and two, to be able to throw this sucker.
Yeah, yeah. Make note, unless Farwell disagrees with his intent, let's call that mastercrafted axe, the +2 one, a two-handed axe.
Okay. Does that change the base damage of it at all, being two-handed?
Let me look, because it does have something about two-handed weapons.
Beyond the +2?
Let me look it up real fast.
If I'm going to use a two-handed weapon instead of a shield, I feel like it should do more than my base damage.
I'm pretty sure it gives, like, some sort of additional thing. I just gotta find it in the rule book.
Okay.
Give me just a second. Two-handed weapons. Most two-handed weapons may not be used from horseback. I don't know why it says that there. I may have to actually look this up. Or spend some off-screen time looking this particular thing up.
Okay. Well, should I choose to pull it out for tonight, would this be agreeable? I just get an additional D6.
I can live with that.
And as a tonight compromise. I'm not.
Yeah,
gonna hold you to that
yeah.
past tonight.
Yeah, no, I think we can. I think we can work with that. An additional 6-sided die for a two-handed weapon, because I'm not seeing it specifically in here. So, yeah, we'll just do that. An extra die 6 on the damage. But for the moment, I do need you to make your normal one-handed axe throw test with
Okay.
passion. I do
I
not
thought I
have.
clicked it, I guess it-
The last roll shows as mine. That is a success. Go ahead and roll your 5. Well, yeah, fuck it. Roll your 5d6. This you're throwing an axe.
This isn't the other.
Yeah,
one.
this is.
just
It's not a
one-handed.
bow. It's not a bow. So, 16. He has 4 armor because he's running. He can't use a shield. So, well, first knockdown is 16. So I again have to roll dexterity. Against an 8, I failed. He falls over.
Damn.
16 minus 4 is 12 points of damage. That is less than his major wound, so he only does that. Okay. That completes that. He is currently prone, with your axe sticking out of the back of him. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. He is actually unconscious and immobilized.
Not running away.
He is face down in the beach sand, bleeding heavily from the axe wound in the middle of his back. Your axe is currently lodged in his back somewhere, somehow. If he's not treated anytime soon, he will die. Sir Farvel, you and
Yay.
your Saxon here, we've got some fighting to continue. He will continue to slash at you with his axe. I'm assuming you're going to continue bashing him with your sword?
Yep.
Or other appropriate verbs.
Yep.
Go ahead and make your roll, sir. Plus 10.
Yay. 18.
You got a 22 total. Yep, you got that one. So roll your 5d6. $17. That is Jesus Christ. These guys are just getting literally knocked down. Dexterity 8. Oh yeah, that is a fucking fumble. He is down and stuck. Like he's got like a root somehow wrapped around a foot. You rolled a damage of 17 against his armor of 4. That's 13. That's going to
I was
take
gonna
him
say,
down
wet
to
sandy beaches. There's sinkholes.
19. That's going to take him down there. 17 minus 4 is 13, so that's not a major wound, and he is still above his unconscious threshold. So he is still alive, but he is currently down, as it were. So the next round, you'll get a +5, and I'll have a -5. But we first need to resolve something with... Oh, you know what? We got to finish this combat. Okay, that takes us back to the top, which is Sir Everhart. I would imagine he's going to go and retrieve his axe from this not quite dead Saxon warrior.
I am pulling out the master-crafted war axe, dropping the shield,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going for the knight who is still conscious and fighting.
Oh,
for
you're
the
gonna
Saxon.
you're gonna go
They're
help.
both knocked down.
You're gonna help Farvel take down his already downed foe.
Oh,
Yeah, they're both
Yeah, so both of them are down. Well, no, he's not. Okay, so the one that Rev was fighting is unconscious with an axe sticking out of the back of him. The other guy is just down on his back, bleeding profusely, but otherwise still engaged in the fight.
if I can see he's still engaged, still shield or whatever, I'm going for him. But like if he was like just unconscious or whatever, that would be unsporting to like steal somebody's kill. But I'm straight up going in. This is a
right,
kill
hold on.
secure, not a kill steal.
Hold on,
In-
let me
in
let
victory.
me clarify what your intentions are. You are attempting to attack the still. Let me rephrase that. You're attempting.
Still in combat.
Okay. I want you to make an honor test.
Oh, is that considered dishonorable?
Well,
Like, cause like that's why I said I'm.
Well,
I'm
the reason
going to
why,
help.
yeah, the reason why is it looks as though Farvel definitely has that fight well under control, and you're basically
if-
going in there to swoop the glory from him. Unless you
Okay,
two
well-
agree that this is okay, and you can be like, "Can I kill him?" And Farvel's like, "Yeah, go for it."
Well, it would be well, like I wasn't sure if it would be considered honorable to like help essentially my brother, but if it's considered dishonorable, I wouldn't do that.
I
would
think-
just finish off.
Okay, considering the situation, again, you guys are swarming the beaches and knocking these jutes or utes out of the way so that the sailors can go burn their boats. Your guy is effectively defeated. There's no question about that. This guy appears to be defeated, still actively attempting to get back to his feet, even though Farvel definitely has a clear advantage over the guy. So my argument is more of maybe not necessarily honor, but more prudence about whether or not you would interfere. The
Well,
argument
that's
can be made either way because yeah, you could go in there and basically finish this guy off, but you might want to. My opinion is in the
I
quick
was looking at my
5
character
seconds.
sheet for the whole honor thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think there's an argument to be made either way,
Oh.
but I think at the end of the day, it really should be Farvel's call about whether or not you go in there and slap this guy around and finish him off. I'll default to that.
Well, I guess like I'm moving toward him, and what I do depends on if Farvel says he's mine or not.
Yeah.
He's mine.
Yeah, there you go. That solves that.
And then I basically just take a sidestep turn, and just finish my guy off
Okay,
and retrieve my axe.
so you're gonna retrieve your axe and a coup de grace, or otherwise
Yeah.
remove him from this world. So let me go ahead and remove him to over here. With your, oh god damn it! Oh come on, give me my clicky box. Why can't I click select? God bless it. Hold on, I gotta figure out what I did. No, that's not it. That is also not it. What the fuck was that? Oh, but that got rid of. Okay, all right, cool. And then pick them up. Do you like that?
What
Okay.
happens if I open the drawer this time?
Don't.
I'm not gonna. I just. Oh, I did not do that.
No, that was
I
me.
did not
I
do
did that. I did that. I'm pretty sure I got rid of all the extra shit in the drawers, but okay. Sir Farvel, you and your guy over here struggling in the sand, kicking sand up, trying to get back to his feet, bleeding profusely. What are you doing? You just gonna do a regular old attack on him? Oh, Jesus,
Oh,
do
no.
I even?
I failed my sword roll.
No, you
Holy
didn't.
shit.
No, you didn't. Hold on.
Oh,
let
wait,
me,
no, I have
let me.
my
Yeah,
axe.
you have.
Yeah.
You basically rolled. What the fuck happened to that die? Get over here. And change that to a 1. Okay, you rolled 29, basically. I rolled a 6, so I succeeded. But yeah, fucking whatever. Just fucking roll your damage. This guy's toast. He's not gonna. Oh, I forgot even the +5 and -5. So that's 19 -4. He's dead. He's just fucking dead. There's no coming out of that one. All right, here. Take your kill count there. Okay. That resolves the fighting at Dover. Let me double check my notes real quick so I can wrap that up.
Oh, just in case something gets lost on the board, in my notes I should make a note for 2 kills.
Yeah,
I'm sure,
two-
That's the most important tally to keep up with.
yeah, for both of you, keep track of how many you killed. Rev, you've got 2 Saxon warriors, and Farvel, you've got 1 Saxon warrior so far. For my notes, it's basically the same shit as before. You guys went in, beat the shit out of these Saxon jutes, and then the sailors, while you guys are in the middle of the fight, they run ashore, the medieval version of Molotov cocktails and torches, and just burn the shit out of their ships. And then everybody just rushes back onto the boats, and deuces, we're out. We're moving on to the next place.
Well, considering like the production of alcohol, even at this period of time, it essentially would have been just a clay jar Molotov cocktail.
Probably. And so far, you guys are unscathed in your campaign. We now switch over to Ro. Ro, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. The king with a small guard, along with everybody else that's going with him. You guys ride on up to Lincoln, as marked on the big map before, or now actually. You guys all arrive in town at the city of Lincoln, and along with you guys, of course, is Merlin, Duke Ulfius, which is the Lord of Silchester. Many other nobles, obviously including Earl Roderick. Lincoln is the seat of Lindsay, which is a county, as you can tell from the map. It's basically the furthest north county of Logris. And of late, the Duke has been recalcitrant in obeying Uther, being jealous of his prerogatives, but dependent upon the king for defense. For defense against the Saxons of Dira and the other northern Cymric kings. And so if we take a look at the map, I mentioned Dira which is going to be. Let's see if I get myself situated right here. Yeah, basically, all of this territory directly north of Lindsay. We have some Saxons that would be basically along the shores here, and then the other northern kings. We have Malahut, Maris, and all that shit. So basically, Lindsay is he's basically doing the absolute minimum to keep Uther satisfied, being his liege lord. Because while he doesn't really, while he's not really fond of him, he needs him. He's in a pretty precarious position. The Cymric kings to the north are not very fond of Uther, and then obviously the Saxons are, well, Saxons are going to Saxon.
And
Go ahead.
just on a geopolitical note, knowing the way that fighting happened in the British Isles, the king there is probably also sitting pretty fancy, knowing that the swamps that may surround his towns provide a pretty natural defense and deterrent to the Saxon raiders.
Yeah, and the Saxon threat is pretty big, so he's basically playing a little bit of a political game of balancing one dagger so that the other ones don't fall in his face. The Saxons can get in there if they really wanted to. The Cymrics, being probably more native to the land, definitely could get in there if they wanted to, and he's kind of holding the frontier, as it were. You guys arrive about a week or so after you leave, and shortly after you arrive, you realize, or it otherwise becomes common knowledge, that the Duke is not here. The guy that you guys came all this way to see is not here. His steward promises that he'll be back, and he'll be back soon, but it'll probably be like a week or so before he comes back. The other nobles, after a day or two, are pretty bored of just sitting outside. They actually go on a hunt. And not a hunt like we did before. We're not going to do all that. But they definitely, they go on a hunt because they're bored and they've got nothing better to do. So they need some food, tired of eating trail rations or what have you, so let's get some fresh game. Kill something nice, and maybe we can cook it up.
Rodance's character is getting their game on. Sorry, shut up.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, dear Lord. Is there anything you want to address in the approximate week or so before the Duke returns, or is expected to return anyway?
Well, look, I straight up have like a 20 recognize and 8 heraldry and 15 courtesy
Mm-hmm.
and a 10 intrigue. So between the collection of doing that, I am definitely trying to get as much information about the lay of the land as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Politically and socially. And I guess I'll feed that directly to my Earl Salisbury, and he can do with that as he pleases.
Okay, why don't you roll intrigue for me?
Okay.
That sounds like a success.
No, I have 10 intrigue. I rolled 10.
Oh, that's a critical.
Oh, wow.
So go ahead and check intrigue.
Check box.
Yep, check the box for intrigue. So here's
The
what.
irony.
Yeah, ironically, all this time you know what it is? We spent half the episode talking you up in your talk game, and your talk game just said, "Yeah, I am that good." So basically, what happens is, as you're interacting with the other nobles, maybe interacting with some of the local common folk, because again, you're literally sitting more or less outside the castle for the better part of a week, waiting for this guy to show up. The steward is not, he's not being rude specifically, although one could argue it might be a little rude that you don't host these people that came all this way to see, your local lord. But he's also not turning anybody
if we're
away.
talking about classic hospitality, it's exceptionally rude.
Right, but I think there's a way he pulls it off in that, it's a large entourage. Maybe he hosts the king and his group, but not the other nobles. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to outright offend everybody, but this is also a very dicey situation. No pun to the fact that we play this game with dice. But long story short, what you end up finding out, in addition to everything I just said about the Duke and his interactions with Uther, is that the Duke thinks the king is arrogant and wants too much, and is afraid, both that Uther is a tyrant and not a good king, but also that he is actually afraid of Uther himself as a person.
Odd. I didn't think Uther had any particular history with this particular individual that would cause such a response, but I report up what I find.
When you conversed with the Earl about this, as you go into some length, the Earl realizes what is probably about to come out of your mouth, and he pulls you aside, like maybe inside his tent or
I
something
know
like that.
better than to just say
Yeah,
that in front
yeah.
of everybody.
Well, yeah, I think he, whatever the situation is, he basically goes even more hush hush and whisper, and he listens and he's like, yeah, so there's a lot, outside of Salisbury, there are a lot of nobles on the island that are not particularly fond of Uther for a number of reasons, and one of them is his arrogance and his pride. There are many that argue he definitely wants too much and feel that perhaps he is not the ideal match for being the High King that he wants to become. There are even some that argue that Uther's the whole catalyst or motivation for his wanting to become the High King is simply the fact that it was the Pendragon title has been in his family, and that it's now his turn to secure that and to become the High King. Where, King, damn it, I can't think of all their names. I know there's like King Constantine. There was Aurelius Ambrosius. There was one possibly other that was, brothers or fathers to Uther that were kings before him that were all defeated through treachery. And then Uther came back, kicked the shit out of everybody. Vortigern being one of the primary antagonists for all of that. The other guys, Rev and Talus know more about what I'm talking about than you might, Ro, unless you read the family history stuff in the main book. But yeah, so a lot of this goes back to stuff that happened prior to 485, and how Uther ended up becoming the king of Logres, and now, like I said, a lot of people think that he's too prideful, that he's reaching for too much. Some wonder if he's a tyrant, as the Duke of Lindsey says. Some wonder if the only reason why he wants to be High King is because of some sort of familial obligation or something like that. And that's part of the reason Earl Roderick says that Uther was so happy to receive the Sword of Victory at the Christmas feast, because he believes that with that special talisman that the Sword of Victory represents, that he'll be able to convince the rest of the nobles, and specifically the Electorate College, to make him High King. He's kind of feeling there's some talk about how some people feel that Uther is now feeling entitled to becoming the High King.
I definitely am happy for the extra background information, and I'll apply it as another lens of looking for information, but I just tell him, like, look, this is an unusual situation for someone to purposely not be at home when they know they have visitors coming. And I understand that travel times can be a little long, but to force someone to sit around for more than a week is just plain unusual.
Oh, Roderick definitely agrees. He does find it a little bit odd. However, given the hostilities that the Saxons across the island have presented, as well as some of the northern Cymric kings not exactly being on the best of terms with everybody, the fact that the Duke isn't here is not unusual. It is definitely unexpected.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got their own version of summer campaign going on. So
Yes, absolutely.
it's
Although,
odd when he knows he invited major visitors to not be here and waiting.
are you asking or insinuating that Uther was invited, or that Uther decided to go of his own accord?
I honestly don't remember either way, because I don't think it said anything other than, I don't think they ever, like, implied, like, like, I'll probably just ask, like, was this something that was planned well in advance, or as more of a spur of the moment trip?
Earl Roderick, he basically kind of, not necessarily points back to, but definitely recalls the Christmas feast, and reminds you, without shame or anything like that, like he's just casually reminding you of how Uther acted once he received the sword. And one of the first things that Uther said was that he planned on visiting some friends of his. And what he was actually implying wasn't so much a friendly visit, more as it was a, listen, bitch, I'm obviously using modern parlance here. And listen, bitch, I've got the sword, bow down. Although he wouldn't have been quite as aggressive in his stance, but it would have been in that direction. Anything else for the Earl?
No, I mostly just collected information. It's like, dude, I can think of like a dozen different ways to handle this, but enough of them are underhanded that I'm just gonna keep them up.
Just keep them in my pocket in case I need them for later.
And I mean, I don't particularly feel like setting a bad precedence. Like,
No, that would not be a good thing for someone, for a young knight such as yourself, still trying to prove themselves, but also have had a recent success, a good mark, as it were. Yeah, let's not go fucking up good things before they get much better. So yeah, I think a few days after your conversation with the Earl, the Duke returns, and there's a very what's the word I want to use here? I guess perfunctory is the right word, which is the word I have in my notes, but I didn't want to use it right away. But yeah, after a very perfunctory, formal meeting, the nobles retire for a feast. It is obvious, super obvious, the Duke is not happy that the king and all his people are here. He is formal and never, insulting, but he definitely, it's obvious that there's a lot of tension between the Duke and the king. But the feast itself is good and plentiful. There's nothing extravagant or sumptuous, but there's plenty of food, plenty of drink. There's lots of singing, lots of people telling stories of the battle and whatnot. The king and the Duke are up at the high table. They're kind of cold shouldering each other, but because the Duke owns the castle and the king is the guest of honor, they're sitting right next to each other. So they have to maintain a certain amount of, I'll say professionalism, even though that may not necessarily be the right word. A certain amount of decorum, I guess. But after the dinner, we've got the entertainment. Bards singing, men telling of tales. There's plenty of drink going around.
oh man, I totally just killed like a giant.
Yeah. Well, ironically, I need you to roll orate. Or let me rephrase.
It better
So,
be orate. 'Cause
well,
I have a 10 orate.
That's good. Here's what's gonna happen. So, the king calls upon. In my notes, I have the king calls upon the best speaker of the party, but obviously it's just you. So what I'm going to need from you is, in answering the king's request for someone to tell the story of your recent adventures, which you should know has become something of a story that people are calling the giant, the horse thing, and a sword. It falls upon you, obviously, because you're the only one there from that group, to tell the story to the group, or to the feast. So what I would like for you to do is I want you to test your compose, and based on your compose, you would then have the choice of using either orate or sing to be the vehicle upon which you tell the story.
Okay. I have one compose. I
You
didn't
can
bother putting
absolutely. You may call upon your passions, if you would like. You also have reroll tokens in case things go poorly. So you have some options here.
That would definitely fall upon a fealty lord, if nothing else.
Oh, absolutely. Let me take a look at the character sheet. Let me see if I can find something that
I have
might
16 fealty lord.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna need that 10-point bump. Otherwise, there's almost no way I'm gonna make that check.
The only other one is you have 16 in honor. You are being kind of called out here. So I could argue or allow an argument for honor.
My king is asking me to do something. That's direct fealty.
Okay, nope, I'll allow that. I'll go with that. I'm not going to argue too much on you. I'm not going to argue with you too much about it. There
I
you go.
rolled a 4.
That is a success. Go ahead and check. Oh, no, I stand corrected. Let me double check. Yeah, no, you don't get extra unless you criticaled. That was your passions. You now have a +10 to your compose, and
Now I'm rolling compose.
that is a success. Because you said you had 1 in compose?
Yep.
So you just barely made it, but you did. A success in compose. Damn it. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm alt-tabbing back and forth to keep things in the order I want.
Does my passion +10 apply to my orate too?
Well, hold on. Let me see. Okay, so check compose. Now you're going to roll orate or singing. I think you wanted to go with orate, right?
Yeah, orate for sure.
So your compose success will give you a +5 to orate. What's that put your orate at?
15.
Okay. I think we can argue that passions are not needed. But you know what? I'll let the player choose. I'm a benevolent GM. Some may say soft, but whatever.
But the amount of ridiculous buff stacking is so important in critical moments.
Yeah, it is.
I
So
spent the last week and a half doing groundwork to learn exactly how to spin this
No,
and
that-
make it the
oh,
most entertaining possible.
you know what? Okay, all right. You know what? You made a good argument. I'll allow you to keep your passions for the orate roll. So that gives you a total of +15, which I believe takes it up to 20 for your orate. So technically, you can't fail, if I'm not mistaken with all my math. That is a 17. That is a success. So you go and start running on. I shouldn't say run on. You start telling the story, and you do a pretty good job of it. You could feel the people. When someone starts talking about something that another person is interested in, like the body language gives it away. Like they start leaning closer, or they have that look on their face that is just clear that you have their undivided attention, and you get this from the majority of the crowd. The king is listening in. In fact, the king himself is almost captivated by the story, even though he already knows the story. The duke as well may or may not know the story, but he's definitely caught up in your particular rendition or version of the events. And of course, I'm sure you leave out the part where somebody may or may not have started a fight with their compatriot.
Of course, I'm not insane.
Yeah, exactly. At the point in the story where you're talking about how Merlin is reaching into the lake for the sword, the king interrupts. However, he does it in a way that is not an abrupt, rude interruption. He kind of, it's almost a cuts in as a "may I take this dance" sort of cutting in. Does that make sense?
Oh, you mean I want to have a talking point, and I'm totally going to bounce off your amazing skills you just made right there.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I
yeah.
am perfectly understanding, and I bet if I could, I will spin it so it works even better.
Yeah. So he's going to cut in at that point, and the king will look over to Merlin, and he'll say, "Merlin, can you tell us more about this sword?" And of course, at this point, it should be noted that Uther has the sword belted to his hip. And mind you, normally in a feast, people aren't going to be wandering around with their swords attached to them or whatever. But because he's the king and because it's Excalibur, it's kind of at this point accepted, even though begrudgingly so, perhaps. But anyway, Merlin stands from the high table and he starts to tell a portion of the high history of Excalibur, starting back in the days when the earth was young and the spirits were plentiful, and they forged this sword and whatever. I don't even know all the stories about Excalibur and everything else, but obviously Merlin does. And he ends the tale up about the same part where you got into the story, or excuse me, where you were interrupted by the king, where he's talking about pulling the sword out of the lake just had a small brain fart. It's probably not a stroke. When he gets to the part of the story where he's talking about retrieving the sword himself, he stops a little bit, and he pulls the sword out from under his robes, and the sword shines in the smoky halls and dispels all shadows. And at this point, Duke Lindsay, who was obviously not there at the Christmas feast, is sitting straight up in his seat, as are a lot of other people. Because, again, not moments before, Uther had the sword, and now Merlin has it. And this sword is glowing. And you know how when light interacts with a fog or smoke, it just makes that light more brighter in a way?
Makes halos, and you actually can see the distinction of the stuff. And being in an interior hall with smoke would actually be quite a lot of material for it to bounce off of.
And even though Merlin is a magician, he is not one unfamiliar with theatrics. So, of course, he pulls the sword out from his robes. Everybody's like, oh my god, he's got the sword. Where's the one that Uther... Oh shit, Uther doesn't have it. How did Merlin get it from him? And then all of a sudden, this bright light all over the place, accentuated, if you will, by the tendrils of smoke all over the place. And everybody's more or less up on their feet. Duke Lindsay is almost standing up in his seat as well. And obviously, everybody is quite impressed. Suddenly, Lindsay's attitude becomes a lot warmer towards Uther. And over the course of the next couple of days, it is as though Lindsay and Uther have maybe not friends, but good acquaintances of each other. Whatever their animosities had been prior to the opening of that feast seem as though they have just simply faded away.
Odd.
Duke Lindsay has, in effect, signed on with Uther. And you may make note that you receive 10 glory for telling the tale of the giant, the horse thing, and a sword to Duke Lindsay and King Uther. And then you may also award yourself 25 glory for witnessing the submission of Lindsay.
Mm-hmm. So 35 glory total?
Total, yes. Within a few days, the king announces that he needs to send messengers out to the other nearby kings, inviting them back to Lincoln in order to, in a sense, and in essence, have everybody else do what Lindsay just did. So he is going to, through the Earl, assign you the task of heading up to Ibericum to treat with the king Herod de Apres. And I'm probably saying that all sorts of wrong because it's a French thing. But you can also call him, as everybody else seems to, the Centurion King. And let me look at the map real quick. You're going up to... Oh, right here. Ibericum. Right where the blue hand is. In my hand.
Yeah.
Right in there.
I'm the blue hand, remember?
Yes. As soon as I said the blue hand, I was like, hey, dumbass. That's her color. Yeah, so he's going to send you up there. And that is where we are going to leave you for now. And then we're going to return. I think we can get... Actually, you know what? This is actually probably a pretty good place to start wrapping up for the night.
Mm-hmm.
I know, Ro, you didn't get a whole lot of time as far as action and
I
good
knew
stuff.
splitting the party, that's exactly what was going to happen.
All right, I'm just glad that everybody... I'm glad as a group we managed to work it out. I was honestly expecting all three of you to go and do the burning raiding thing, but I would like to point out that at least twice, possibly 3 or even 4 times, I have mentioned in the Discords and on the Twitter that this week's episode was going to be lit. I was really hoping somebody would figure it out by this point.
Okay, look, we were trying to help you cut down on the puns. Are you saying you wanted fire puns? Really? You know better. You've been complaining for the last 4 weeks.
I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I could not help myself when I prepped this and I posted my first comments about, hey guys, I prepped 487. It's gonna be lit, and I've been trying to. Listen, earlier when you guys were discussing which way the party was going to go. I'm sitting here and I'm trying to keep a fairly straight face, trying to keep all my thoughts together, keep my mouth shut, let you guys figure it out. But I was like, the whole time I was like, please just go fucking burn the shit so I can pull my joke off. Go burn the boats, damn it.
Oh God. You have officially just encouraged.
I know,
puns.
I know, but I'm starting to go with the, if you can't beat them, join them mentality. Because I feel like I can't beat them.
Hey, you kind of knew this coming into this one. You've done stuff with Rev before.
Oh, yeah, no, oh, no. And you know what? If I didn't know then, I definitely know now. We lost Rev. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Rev.
Turn on. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
He set us up for the cheesiest pun ever.
And what I was trying to say is if you had a burning desire for us to set up your pun, I've been trying to say that for like 5 minutes now. You should have been more clear.
I gotta warn you, though. I have to warn you. I made a comment. I believe I put it in Discord somewhere. Something about having prepped for tomorrow's series premiere. So you can get a little bit of non-existent extra credit if you could find the comment and then link it to the event in tomorrow's episode of the new show starting out.
You just want to see somebody go shuffling to find more puns in your statements.
Hell yeah. Because, again, if I can't beat them, join them, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're probably going to end literally just a few minutes early. But let's go ahead and do a little bit around the table and tell me what you guys thought of tonight. No particular order for this part. This is just some feedback from the night overall.
I think as a collection, we're actually quite well balanced. We have a main person, a main sword person, somebody with some little bit of range tossed in there, and then I have me doing socially skilled things over here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to be a great person for walking up and smacking them, but you know what? I'm going to be the best freaking prepared knight ever, because I will know everything.
It's almost like we have a Celasta crew right here.
I know, right?
All right. What else you guys got? Any more feedback before I move into the actual starting to wrap things up? Rev, Talus. Is Talus playing War Thunder? Is he even paying attention right now?
He might be. I think he said something like I think he said something like half the episode will be Rodance and half the episode will be you guys and the other half will be Rodance. So he may have thought his part of the episode was over.
Yeah. I mean, he's still connected with a good ping, so he's probably just not paying attention. Talus, you got to unmute yourself if you're trying to talk, my friend.
Hey. Do we take bets on if he fell asleep on his keyboard?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that would have happened. He normally stays up pretty damn late. He usually doesn't fall asleep all of a sudden. He's either AFK
and over COVID, man. Falling asleep was.
I don't know. I don't want to listen.
Over mine.
I hear you, and you're not wrong. However, that kid has been on video games like almost 24/7 for the last week or so. So probably should just throw him under the bus a little bit. We'll see what happens when oh, there he is. I think. Or was that Rev coughing?
That was me coughing. Sorry.
Well, I looked away, and I looked back. I heard the cough. I saw the flash that somebody's mic went up. So I'm not sure whose it was exactly, but whatever. No, I think we managed to pull out tonight. We didn't get everything done that I was hoping to get done, but that was because the party split, which ultimately wasn't a big deal. Because if we had gone, as a group, if we had gone one way or the other, I think we would have gotten it all done and been on track for doing Winter Phase next week. But this gives us a little bit, as somewhat alluded to already, we get a little bit of combat and we get a little bit of intrigue. And we've also gotten a little bit of the political the political landscape teaser, if nothing else, with mentioning finally the Electoral College. I don't know if that's the actual word used in the books, but that's what I'm just going to call it for now. Just to reiterate, and strictly out of character, it's 28 essentially castles and towns and duchies, counties, whatever. And some, actually, there's a handful of religious locations as well, abbeys and whatnot. that if whoever's going for the High King, if they get, I believe it's a clear majority, or it might actually be all 28. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I'd have to go dig that back up. But that's actually one of the key political plots or plot points or whatever for the campaign initially. But for whatever reason, I didn't include it in the beginning of the campaign, and it kind of hinted around it every now and again. Uther really wasn't a big focus for the first few episodes. Like the first year of 485, Uther was really not a focus at all. The first year, I focused almost entirely on the party and the Earl. Obviously, Talus and Rev remember that better than
Well,
Ro did. But
yeah, well, it's kind of hard to really get into politics and minutia when at least a quarter of your party is going, yeah, whatever.
mm-hmm.
Pretty much everything.
Well, yeah, there's that too. But also, like, you guys, you would have known some of this stuff because you grew up here. But I think some of it just wouldn't have applied because you're stuck with your small slice of the pie of everything, and your slice of the pie is literally just your lands that your father died in the last handful of years, and now you've just suddenly inherited, and you've got to take over and start running shit. So at that point, that young, that inexperienced, in that sort of transition, you're not really going to be terribly worried about what the king is trying to do, other than if the king says go over here and kill people, then yeah, okay, well, I'm a knight, I'm expected to do that, so I'm going to go do that. But meanwhile, I've got my own land to manage. You're not going to get caught up on all that political stuff. And I've been trying to, not necessarily slowly, but I've been trying to piece a little bit of the political side of things. Some of the rumors and intrigues and things like that. I've been trying to throw little breadcrumbs, if you will, to see what gets picked up, to see what the group wants to go with, but also to throw it in there just like so you guys have a bigger scope of what the world is all about. Obviously, by the world, I mean specifically the British Isles.
Did you mention the Franks or I forget the Huns now at this point?
You know what? When Syagrius, the Easter feast of 486, Syagrius, the praetor, who was basically evicted from his lands and was trying to get Uther and Madoc to basically go reconquer it for him. I did mention that to some degree he was a plot point, but again, nobody really picked up too much on what Syagrius was trying to do, even when I threw literally Syagrius himself into the group. Everybody was kind of like, yeah, well, we'll see what my king says. But also, with that sort of response, there was no way I was going to fight that, and here's why. When you guys, as a group, effectively said, we got our own problems, the king wants us to do that, whatever, that's exactly what would have happened. Here's this French guy in a British court asking the British people to help him, and nobody's really in a position to do anything. And I think that aspect came out almost naturally, the way it should have. So meanwhile, Syagrius is over here like, you guys said you'd help me, but nobody's helping me. Well, that's because we can't help you. We want to, we can't. That was my takeaway from that, of course. There was something else at that feast, now that I think about it. I know I was dropping hints left and right about what was to come up during the rest of 486 at that feast. Like Merlin watching you guys. Like specifically watching you guys.
Yeah, you dropped that little line.
And I don't think anybody really caught. I think Rev was going to say something, or like Rev the player said something about, listen, stop staring at me. It's weird. It's creepy. But like in character, what are you going to do? He's a fucking wizard.
And a major figure to the king, like that would be way out of line to
Oh,
say
yeah.
anything about.
Yeah, I mean, the most you might have been able to do, and even then there's a certain amount of social faux pas, would be like, all right, you're checking me out. What can I do to help you? You know what I mean? But I think that, I don't know if anybody...
needing to come with an apology, somethings.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I was looking for when we got to the giant and the Nucalavi and the actual sword, I was hoping somebody would have stepped up and said, wait a minute, Merlin was checking us out last episode. Now he's out here trying to get us to do shit. This motherfucker's been planning this the whole time. But that never happened.
You mean that wasn't just a given?
Yeah, that was basically my character's like, oh yeah. You didn't need to feel the need to exclaim that.
I don't know. Me personally, I was looking for that. But as a storyteller and as a viewer of, TV shows that are based on books I've read, like those are the kinds of things that I look for that show a certain amount of attention to detail. Not necessarily for the player side of things, but like the production crew getting that attention to detail from the book into the TV show or movie. That's a personal thing. That's definitely a personal opinion. But anyway, I've bumped my gums long enough. Let's go ahead and start moving through our outros here. We'll start with Ro. Final thoughts for the evening and your actual outro, if you would, please.
Hold on, I saw Talus's orange light flick for a second. Talus, you there? All right, I tried.
It is what it is. I'm going to ping him real quick and see what he's doing. But I'm listening. I am. He's marked as away. What the? All right, anyway, go ahead.
It means that he forgot to log out of Discord when he went to bed, basically.
It could be.
As far as it goes, I think this whole seeing both sides of this year is going to be helpful for next year because I get the feeling that it's going to be ramping up into drama. I'm waiting to see how much Talos' political drama, family drama, comes back to bite him in the butt.
Speaking of family
drama, and I'm
drama,
pretty sure my mom is still pissed at me for marrying a wife that is basically the same age she is.
No, there's no basically. I'm pretty sure I put the year of birth as the exact same for the two of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of family drama, before we get too far off your outro here, I do want to ask, Rev, when I hit you with that your aunt just came back with 2 newborn daughters that are hers, what was your first thought, other than what you said already? I think you alluded to Seth already once.
Yeah. Well, it's either Seth. My second thought was an affair.
Uh-huh.
My third thought was this night is taken, like, I'm not sure they're this nights.
Oh, Cadfael?
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting thought. I hadn't considered that. Why would my player ever believe their GM? No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
23andMe's not around yet, so I can't check to make sure they're not like the Earl or the Kings or something like that.
That's a fair question. You should throw that angle in next episode when it comes up again.
Why would I?
It's a fair question to ask. I mean, I guess ultimately it'd be whether or not Everhart believes his aunt with what she's told him so far, or what you get out of Cadfael whenever you talk to him.
The way my character sees it is that she's telling me what she wants to tell me for a reason, and that in some level I have to trust her discretion, and in worst case scenario, and in going along with what she said, I get the service of another night for a while.
So if you keep your mouth shut, you may still get something good out of it for yourself.
And if I don't cause waves, I don't end up with the king or someone above my station being like, why did you just reveal my hidden heir?
That's fair. All right, Ro, I kind of jumped in on your outro and stuff. Please, if you have anything else, please go ahead.
My cat is indeed sitting across the room, staring at me, quacking.
You should try to get video of that. Not that I don't believe you. I just want to see what this looks like and what it sounds like.
I want you to get a duck call and talk back.
That would be hilarious.
We're not going to talk about the collection of weird noises I make at cats because they talk back at me.
Yakety yak?
Don't talk back.
No.
All right, anything else, Ro?
Sleeps?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It looks like I'm not getting a response back from my kid, so we'll see what happens. All right, Rev, final thoughts for the night and your outro, please.
Well, just again, look forward to some announcements. I'm going to be posting on Twitter and my TikTok about my new taxidermy for Furbies.
Oh my god, here we fucking go again.
Also, check out my MySpace page.
Jesus Christ.
Have a good night.
Is MySpace even like
Yes,
as
it's
a?
still operational.
Is it really?
Yes.
Does anybody? I can't imagine there being too many people in the whole wide world that actively use that stuff.
I think there's still some people who were lost in a decade or two ago still using it.
Fair. I see Talus's mouse hand moving around. Does that mean he's back?
I'm here.
Hey, you're back just in time for your final thoughts for the night and your outro. And by final
Need
thoughts,
Water. Kisses are boring after you have too many.
yeah. Also for your final thoughts, if you have anything in particular for this episode this evening, please enlighten
Nope,
us.
none
You missed
for
that.
me.
You missed that part, so I wanted to give you a fair chance. All right, well,
None for me.
that's it for you then, huh?
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, thanks, guys. I'm Omar Krieg, your Lord Commander for the Krieg Dominion, your host for this episode of Blood and Glory, A Father's Pride, episode 10. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. I really do appreciate it. Next week, when we return, we will resume the raiding and burning of Saxon ships, and we will see what is going on in Ibericum and see what Sir Dallin needs to do to bring more people into Uther's good graces, I guess.
Episode 9, Part 2, A Sinking Feeling.
No, this would be episode 11 next week.
Oh,
Please,
my bad.
also, join
I
me
can't go.
tomorrow for the series premiere for my Traveler 2300 tabletop role-playing game, right here at the same time as most of my other streaming stuff, 7 p.m. Pacific. We will be starting a brand new show, as I've mentioned a few times, and there may or may not be references to Blood and Glory in that particular opening sequence, so please stick around. Other than that, I'm going to get us out of here. You have a wonderful day or night or morning or whatever it is, wherever you are. Just be safe, and don't tell me if you screw that up. I'm done. I got nothing
Is
else.
this saved?
One moment. Otherwise, enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you again tomorrow night. Have a good one, guys.